Hello everyone! Today's video will be a little different, as I'll be customising a BJD. I've been collecting these for a little while now, so I've got a few doubles at this point, and thought it'd be fun to try customising one. This one is a Lororo from the Summer Island collection. Oops, didn't mean to drop that. As you can see, this one is actually the one displayed on the front of the box, and comes with her outfit, as well as some extra hands in different positions. So let's get started. So let's take a closer look. She has a lot of freedom for movement thanks to being fully strung with elastic. And after removing her hair, you can see that her eyes are on a flat eye plate instead of inset eyes like a standard BJD. For her dress, I started by altering and modifying a Monster High pattern I had and cut it out of the blue fabric. With all the pieces cut, I sewed them together along the side seams. After testing the fit on the doll, I altered the neckline and where the arms would go, sewing the lace along the top and bottom of the dress as I sewed the hems. I decided to add a second layer of lace around the bottom of the dress to give the illusion of a petticoat without the added bulk of the extra fabric. The cape pattern returns. I mean, all I seem to do is make the capes these days. I cut the pieces out of the dark velvet fabric and the ears with some felt too. Sewing together the ears with the felt in the middle to give them a stiffer structure, as well as sewing the centre seam of the hood, before attaching the capelet to the hood itself. After hemming all the way around the cape and the hood, I took one of the ears and used it as a guide to mark on the hood where they should sit, before creating an incision and popping the ears through, sewing them in place. To make some cute little tights, I made a pattern by sketching around her leg before using it to cut the fabric. Taking both pieces, I sewed up the inseam, making sure to leave enough space at the top open, to sew them together and turn them into tights. I later added a piece of elastic around the top to help them stay up as they kept trying to slide down around her bum. Taking some fine jewellery wire and some wire cutters, I cut several even pieces and carefully shaped them into petal shapes, using some hot glue to stick them together and form the stalk. Once I'm happy with both the flowers and the petal, it's time to crack out the UV resin. Starting with the petal, I dipped it in the resin before taking it out and carefully removing the excess before curing it under the UV lamp. I then repeated this process for both the flowers too. With the flowers complete, I took acrylic markers to paint the centre of the smaller flower and the stalks, sealing them with a little bit of clear UV resin once the paint was dry. I finally trimmed the wire of the petal to glue it in place in the hand so it looks as though she's holding it. To start her hair, I needed to fill the empty space at the back of her head. You can buy a back plate, however at the time of making this video they were out of stock, so I had to improvise my own with a combination of cling film and hot glue. carefully remove it from her head, trim down any excess. Before testing the final fit. For her hair itself, I created wefts out of yarn and glued them down to the makeshift cap, styling them once finished, creating a low bun in the back with short fluffy windswept bangs in the front. Since the eyes are similar to rainbow high eyes, try saying that 10 times fast, I started by drawing 2 circles to be the bases of the new irises before placing the plate into a small jar to soak in rubbing alcohol to remove the printed eyes from it. While the plate marinates, I set to work on the irises, starting with lighter colours and building up to the darker colours to build the intensity. Once I'm happy with how the pencils look, I crack out my markers, using them to help blend together and make the colour really pop. Finally, using a little bit of white paint with a toothpick to add eye shines. Gluing them to the plate once it's clean and dry. Since the base plate is a hard plastic and I didn't want to risk damaging it with acetone, I tried soaking it off with rubbing alcohol. However, it didn't work and I ended up very careful using acetone to remove the factory paint, immediately wiping down the face with alcohol as I went to prevent any potential damage. So essentially going a little bit of acetone, quickly a little bit of alcohol, just so there was no damage caused. For the face up itself, I started with my pastels, using them to add gentle blush to her cheeks and a little to her tiny little nose. Once I'm happy with the blushing, I move on to my pencils, starting by drawing her mouth before moving on to draw her upper lash line. And adding freckles across the bridge of her nose and slightly to her cheeks too. I moved on to then drawing a little lid definition before adding her eyebrows, spraying sealant as I went to save my progress. I move on to using black to darken the upper and lower lash lines. And a dark grey for her eyebrows to give a similar tone to the wefts of her hair. Finally, placing the eye plate back in place. I love the effect they give, like her eyes are following you no matter what angle you tilt her head. Taking this frame yarn and wire. Let's make a stand. Using the wire, I created a hoop big enough for it to fit and wrapped it with masking tape to help hold its shape better before using light blue yarn and crocheting a cute little swing seat. Taking white and yellow, it's time to make more, you guessed it, daisies! Taking a piece of wire and green yarn to make the stalks once the flowers are complete. Taking more green yarn and some wire, I made some leaves to go with the flowers, as well as a little casing to go over the swing loop. Taking all the pieces, it's time to assemble the full stand. I wrapped the stalks of the daisies and leaves around the frame before wrapping the whole thing with more green yarn to help blend it all together, adding a little glue along the way just to help it stay in place as I wrap the frame. Are you ready? I'd like you to meet Daisy! I love being able to use such a variety of my crafty skills, from sewing and resin to crochet for a stand. I'm so glad I changed my idea for her original design actually, as she turned out so cute and adorable this way. Do you have a favourite part of Daisy or her journey? I'm torn between the daisies and her overall stand. Well, I hope to see you in the next video. Until next time!